This past week, the Chinese were able to develop a new DeepSeek AI model, which has been seen as a challenger to the ChatGPT large language model. And the reason why this is so significant is because it was developed on microchips that cost a fraction of what some of NVIDIA's most prestigious chips cost. And while we could argue what does this mean for the sort of stock market in general, obviously there are going to be questions around, will DeepSeek AI finally be the model that replaces developers? Will it finally be the model that sort of puts the nail in the coffin for the need for software engineering jobs? And so as a result, in this video, we're going to take a look at 5 reasons why I would argue we are nowhere close to having large language models like ChatGPT or this new DeepSeek AI from taking developer jobs. So let's just jump right into it. Now, the first distinction that I want to make is that large language models are not AGI. Now, AGI actually stands for Artificial General Intelligence, and it is generally a term that is reserved for truly autonomous models. Now, it's true that large language models excel at tasks like generating text, summarizing information, even writing code, but this is simply because they have been trained on data sets that allow them to sort of spit back out what was received as an input. Artificial general intelligence is not that whatsoever. In fact, one way you could define a truly autonomous form of AGI would be that it would have to learn, reason, and adapt across any intellectual task without being explicitly trained on it. And just to think about this logically, let's take this a step further. Where we are today, in order for ChatGPT to be able to code something for me, I would have to prompt it and tell it what to code for me. Otherwise, it's just going to sit there. In short, it doesn't think on its own yet. And going off of that point, large language models can only be improved upon based upon new data that they receive as input. It is often very difficult, and we are not exactly in the place yet where models can actually train themselves without needing an introduction of an external data set to improve its reasoning capability. If a model were able to do that, then this would fall underneath the AGI category, but we are still not there yet. A great example of this is if you were to ask the Chinese model DeepSeek AI anything about the Tiananmen Square massacre, which was a historical black eye on the Chinese government, you'll get some very interesting answers because most likely they have redacted that information from what was used to train the DeepSeek AI model. Second reason why I don't think AI is at the point yet of replacing developers is because AI can generate code, but it is still a requirement that business needs must be met and understood. You see, companies don't just need code, they need custom solutions tailored to their business needs. As someone who works at a fintech company, I can tell you that there are certain requirements and objectives we seek to meet every single day that require us to design intentionally our systems in such a way as to meet those needs. If I were just to ask, I don't know, ChatGPT to code something for me, it's going to give me the answer, but it's not exactly going to understand what context this piece of code is going to fit in. And I would argue that's a much more important thing and ability and talent that companies pay developers for than is probably recognized overall. Third reason is because creativity and problem solving requires human ideation. It requires human imagination. Again, like we've just discussed, AI and large language models are great at writing code, but they generally lack the ability to solve real world problems without being prompted. You see, software development isn't just about writing code, it's about keeping everything within context and within mind, right? From your system architecture to being able to debug a problem when it comes up, to innovating and improving things like time complexity and space complexity when you're refactoring a code base. You see, these are tasks that developers perform every single day, and they are not tasks that are currently able to be met, or rather these goals of these tasks are not able to be met by large language models at the present time. The fourth reason that I argue that DeepSeek AI won't replace developer jobs is because AI models, as they currently stand, lack the ability to think about things in the long term. For any of you who are currently developers out there, or if any of you are aspiring to be developers, you will know that most likely code bases will often need to be refactored, because if anyone's coded for any amount of time, coming back to a project after a couple of months is quite literally like reading a completely different language. I know that at certain points, I have personally gone back to code that I looked at before and thought, what the heck was I thinking when I even wrote this? However, as you gain experience within the software engineering industry, you generally like to design things for the long term, for things like scalability, maintainability, and generally just to be nice for the developer that is going to be coming after you. Currently, when prompted, ChatGPT can generate code for you, but the question that it cannot answer is it going to be the solution that is best for your organization when thinking about things in the long term? Lastly, the final reason why I don't think DeepSeek or ChatGPT are going to replace developer jobs is when it comes to the area of security concerns. If you ask ChatGPT or DeepSeek AI to code something for you, they're not necessarily going to give you the best solution when it comes to attempting to prevent certain vulnerabilities. In fact, it is often the case where developers will actually have to be reprimanded for sort of copying and pasting code from DeepSeek or ChatGPT into their projects because they're not thinking about the vulnerabilities or the package dependencies that might be incorporated into that solution that for the organization writ large might pose some particular problem. And for those 5 reasons, you guys, I really doubt that we're at the point of DeepSeek or ChatGPT or other models out there replacing in a meaningful way developer roles. But the point I will concede to people who have a concern between AI and software developer jobs is that it is such an amazing tool that it might cut back on the size of overall software engineering teams. For example, the work that 4 people without ChatGPT or DeepSeek can perform is probably going to be less or equal to the amount of work 3 developers with access to models like ChatGPT and DeepSeek AI can perform. So you might be looking at a reduction in roles slightly within the tech industry, but I still don't think that is a good reason or even a good excuse to tell yourself it's not worth learning how to program or pursuing a degree in computer science, for example. Now, the U.S. Bureau of Labor and Statistics, I find it personally to be a very good source of truth and information when it comes to trying to understand more about different roles in the U.S. economy. And currently, according to their website, if you want to take a look at this on your screen now, it is still estimated that software engineers and quality assurance analysts, the sort of counterpart to developers, this industry is going to grow by about 17% by the year 2033. And there's expected to be an addition of something like 328,000 jobs added to this industry. And so all this taken cumulatively, in conclusion, I don't think that models like DeepSeek AI really are going to have a meaningful impact on the replacement of developers yet. Perhaps that will come in the next 4, 5, 6 years or so. I don't know. I can't predict the future, but I would encourage you guys, if you are thinking about jumping into the tech industry and learning how to code, don't be afraid to do it. Now it's just as good of a time as ever. And so with that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, please leave a like, smash that subscribe button. Let me know down in the comments what your thoughts are regarding DeepSeek AI models. I would love to get a discussion going because quite honestly, maybe I am wrong. Maybe I should be deathly afraid that my current data science software developer role is going to be replaced, but I don't think that's going to be the case.